Board's reorg meeting on January 6, 2026, and posted at the Board of Education office on the district's website and communicated to the Livingston Township Clerk. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, we will move on to superintendent's reports. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Charles?
Present.
Mr. Cohen?
Here.
Mrs. Gong?
Present.
Mrs. Kemka?
Here.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Here.
And Mr. Klein?
Here.
We have quorum.
Good evening. We're here tonight to celebrate the heart and soul of our school community. While every educator in our district works tirelessly to inspire the next generation, each year we pause to recognize a few individuals who have truly gone above and beyond. These educators build futures. They are the ones who stay late to help struggling students, who innovate in the face of challenges, and who bring a level of passion to their jobs and transform schools into a place of discovery. Please join me in a round of applause as we begin our presentation for the honorees. I'd like to present Dr. Barreto to talk about our first honoree.
I just want to congratulate everyone here tonight. It's a great honor. It's my absolute pleasure to highlight Burnett Hill's Teacher of the Year, Melissa Lowenthal, a dedicated and passionate educator who deserves recognition for her outstanding contributions in the field of education and for her longtime commitment to Livingston Public Schools. Melissa's career with LPS began in 1998 with her student teaching at Collins Elementary School. She then spent 3 years teaching 4th grade at Hillside School, where she earned her tenure. After a brief leave to care for her family, Melissa returned and started at Burnett Hill Elementary in the fall of 1999, where she has been ever since. Over the years, Melissa has taught 4th grade, kindergarten, 2nd grade, and finally 5th grade, where she has truly found her calling. It is in our 5th grade ELA and science classrooms that Melissa has become the very best version of herself as an educator. What sets Melissa apart is the intentionality and craft she brings to her work every single day. Her students don't just complete assignments. They think, they write, they analyze, and they grow. Whether she is guiding her writers through multiple skills curriculum, scaffolding evidence-based responses with the RACERS framework, or bringing the properties of matter to life through hands-on NGSS-aligned investigations in science, Melissa designs learning experiences that challenge her students while making them feel seen, supported, and capable. This year, she has led our student council with creativity and heart, guiding our students through a series of fundraisers and events that have brought our Burnett Hill community closer together and taught our young leaders what it means to give back. And once our students leave Burnett Hill, they contact Melissa endlessly to thank her for preparing them for middle school and how to use Schoology. Something interesting I learned about Melissa recently is that she not only has dedicated her educational career to Livingston, but she has also attended Livingston Public Schools. She attended Riker Hill Elementary, Heritage Middle School, and Livingston High School. And her connection to this community runs even deeper, as she and her husband chose to raise their 3 children here in Livingston, watching them move through Harrison, Mount Pleasant, Heritage, and LHS. What an amazing legacy. Melissa, you have given the district your career, your family, and your heart. Tonight, Livingston gives a little of that back to you. Congratulations, and thank you for all you do for the children of Burnett Hill.
I invite Michelle Sabula up to talk about her honoree.
All right. This year's Collins School Educator of the Year is Kelly Feeney. Yeah, Kel. As our reading specialist for grades 3 to 5, Kelly provides reading support to students all day long. She holds both a bachelor's and master's degree in education. She is an Orton Gillingham certified teacher and a dyslexia specialist. But what makes Kelly exceptional is not just what she knows, it's how she shares the knowledge with others. This year, when her K-2 colleague went on maternity leave, Kelly immediately stepped up to take on additional responsibilities. Not because she had to, but because that's who she is. She wanted to make sure students continued receiving the very best support possible because Kelly gives her best in everything she does. And when I say everything, I mean everything. If you're on a team with Kelly, whether it's the reading team, INRS, the Sunshine Committee, or even her kickball team, you know she is all in. She doesn't do anything halfway. She comes prepared, she's extremely organized, and she's fully committed. Kelly shows up. She shows up to INRS meetings with all her data and proposed interventions. She shows up to CPAC events, sharing with families how the brain works and how children learn to read. She shows up at school events because she values the friendship she has built at Collins. She shows up for students at evening events because relationships matter to her. And every single day, Kelly shows up to Collins ready to support and help children grow as learners. Her work ethic is most impressive. Honestly, though, some of my favorite moments with Kelly are the small ones. Seeing her in car line every morning, sometimes she's in rain boots or sometimes sunglasses or winter scarves and hats, fully committed. Or right after the vocabulary parade. If anybody's ever been to a vocabulary parade, there are a lot, right? Everybody's kind of happy they're over. Kelly looks at me, everybody else is happy it's over, and Kelly looks at me and she said, I'm going to send out a survey to the staff to see how we can get more kids dressed up next year. I'm like, great, Kel. Yep. And that moment really sums her up perfectly. She is always thinking, always reflecting, always trying to make things better. Schools need people who show up consistently, people who make a school feel stronger simply because they are part of it. Kelly Feeney is that person. Kelly, thank you for your commitment, your leadership, your care, and the countless ways you make Collins stronger. We are incredibly lucky to have you, and you are so deserving of this award. Congratulations to Kelly Feeney.
I'd like to invite Dan Garcia up to talk about his school's honoree.
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations to all the teachers who won this great award. Today is with great pleasure that I stand before you to honor an exceptional educator, Emily Schulke, Harrison Elementary School's Teacher of the Year. Let's take a moment to acknowledge just some of the very special people in Emily's life who are here tonight. Her husband, Kyle, her children, Hudson and Mason, her parents, Ruth and Richard, and her sister, Beth. Thank you for supporting her as a teacher in Livingston and especially at Harrison for all these years. Emily's journey at Harrison spans 18 years, and her excellence is evident to anyone who enters her first grade classroom. In celebrating Emily this year, we asked past and former students what made her special, and the students shared their ideas that were featured in a video we created for her. Here are some of the things her students said. She puts decorations on our desks to celebrate the special moments. When I was in first grade, I had trouble reading. She was nice and patient, helping me learn without ever making me feel bad. This is an interesting one. One student said, "You make us awake. I like the smile on your face, and you make my face have a big smile." These are just some of the comments, but I have them all here for you to enjoy. That's the big novel I brought up, all the kids who have said such amazing things. You understand the uniqueness and messiness of learning. I've seen your tenacity firsthand when you stop me in the hallway to share that a student is finally taking off. Or you laugh and say that a student has made her a liar because the worries we had at the start of the year had vanished. Little do they know, it's because you are always doing your magic every day for kids. Your leadership as an assistant to the principal and summer work show your dedication with building connections with students. I think you secretly love losing your lunch period occasionally to watch and build connections with kindergartners that may be in your room the next year. The teachers and the staff at Harrison have a lot to say as well. Your team says we feel lucky to be able to work with you. You are organized, trustworthy, and reliable. Another teacher wrote, her willingness to collaborate, adapt instruction, and welcome any teacher into her classroom is not only appreciated, it is transformative for students. Emily has an incredible ability to support students on their reading journey. She goes above and beyond to ensure every student feels supported, successful, and excited about reading. And finally, one teacher said, our Wednesday afternoon team teaching sessions are a highlight of my week. Students learn, we laugh, and for me, I'm always grateful to be sharing a space with someone who calls her career her vocation. Emily, thank you for being a dedicated educator and a colleague. Harrison School is better because of you and lucky to have you shaping the lives of its children. Congratulations on being Harrison Elementary School's Teacher of the Year. Very well deserved.
Carlos beat me to the punch. Carlos Gramada.
Good evening, everyone. First, congratulations to all of our recipients. You certainly make the district and us very proud. It is my honor to recognize Hillside's Teacher of the Year this year, who is third grade teacher, Mrs. Caroline Dugan. I also want to welcome her husband, Dan, who is here with us. Welcome, Dan. Congratulations to you as well. You share her with us every day, and we are grateful for that. Caroline began her time at Hillside 8 years ago, teaching kindergarten, coming from Oak Knoll School, where she taught kindergarten for 6 years. She had probably one of the most interesting interview processes anyone's ever experienced at Hillside. And so you see, you have to understand something. Hillside loves the Dugan family. Okay, so we had 2 Dugans at Hillside before Caroline came. They're all related by marriage, by the way. And so when she applied to join us, we wanted to keep the integrity of the interview process intact. So we had Caroline apply with her maiden name, which is Gross, Caroline Gross, right? And that's what she did. The only ones that knew about that were the 2 of us. And maybe Laura too, probably, right? Laura knew that too. Anyway, that said, after a really successful interview process, obviously the cream rose to the top, and here we are 8 years later. Caroline's nomination as Teacher of the Year came handily, as she is well loved by her colleagues, her students, their families, and her principal. One of her colleagues described her as one of the most patient and kind individuals she has ever had the pleasure of working with. Another noted how they see every day how her soft tone and calm demeanor create a loving, nurturing, and supportive classroom environment where every student feels important, confident, and valued each day. Caroline is a person of exemplary character. She doesn't just teach our character program at Hillside, she lives it. As one colleague shared, Caroline truly embodies character education and consistently models the 6 pillars of character in everything she does. Her classroom is a model for positive learning, an environment that is welcoming, student-centered, and built on mutual respect where students thrive, both academically and socially emotionally. This year, after returning from a leave, Caroline embraced a major transition for her, going from kindergarten after 12 years into 3rd grade. As another colleague described, Caroline took the challenge of moving to a new grade level and did not miss a beat. Her dedication, adaptability, and professionalism are truly remarkable. I certainly agree. Someone else noted that beyond the classroom, she is an outstanding educator and an active member of the Hillside community, always seeking out opportunities to improve the school and its climate. Caroline has served as a member of many school committees over the years, including the Character Education Committee, the School Improvement Panel, and many, many more. Her impact through her work is noteworthy. Her colleagues also talked about the way she lifts others up, and this is my favorite part. As a colleague, she is a warm, encouraging, and generous with her time, always ready to assist a team member, offer a resource, or lift someone's spirits. And ultimately, they summed it up this way. Her dedication, kindness, and excellence make her profoundly deserving of being named Hillside's Teacher of the Year, and I could not personally agree more. Please join me in congratulating our Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Caroline Dugan.
I'd like to invite Lorena Dolan up to talk about her honoree.
Hi, welcome. Congratulations to all the Teachers of the Year. We are so proud and we are very happy we can honor you tonight. I am beyond thrilled to talk to you about Mrs. Shostak. She does everything at MPE. I mean everything. Her fan club's in the back there. She instills a love of reading in every single child that walks in her door. She has them doing free writes. She has other teachers in the building doing free writes now. So our kids are learning how to love writing and get their ideas on paper. Mrs. Shostak is one of those people that every school needs. She truly cares about kids, not just academically, but as whole people. She cares deeply about their personal lives. She knows their pets, their trips, their aunts, their uncles, you name it. She knows her kids very, very well. She has a special way of connecting with all of her students and helping them find their place and their strength. She sees the good in every single one of her students, and they leave her classroom feeling really, really good about themselves. And that's truly a gift of an amazing teacher. She gives so much of herself outside of the classroom. The list is long. What I'm going to tell you right now is a snippet of what she does. Gardening club, PBSIS, student council, book club. She does it all, and she does it out of the goodness of her heart, and the kids want to work with her. She works so hard in her classroom. She's always thinking about how to make learning more fun, how to meet the kids right where they are. She continues every single day to go in there to make sure that every child in her class is growing and learning and thriving. One of the things that stands out most about Mrs. Shostak is that she truly believes in every child, and then they believe in themselves. It's truly amazing to watch every day. She approaches every child with patience, positivity, and that strong, real belief that they will learn and grow in her classroom. She is such a positive force at MPE. She always brings great energy and ideas to our community. In fact, this year we had masked readers. People who retired came back, wore blow-up suits, and read books to our kids. It's all her idea. And we do it, right? She comes up with these crazy ideas, and we do it because we love her so much. She has been such an important support to so many people in our building, but especially the new staff members. She's always there to answer questions, jump in to support in any way she can. She is an amazing teammate. Some of our new teachers shared with us that at one of their trainings, they were told to look for the marigold. The marigold is the people who uplift you, support you, encourage you, and help you grow. And they said that Jen is their marigold. And I honestly can't think of a better way to describe her impact on our MPE school community. Jen, thank you for being such a positive force at MPE. We are so lucky to have you, and this is a very well-deserved congratulations.
I'd like to invite Brooke Benavides up to talk about her Educator of the Year.
And thank you, Michelle Sabula, for coming up with glasses because you reminded me to bring mine. Good evening. Tonight, it is truly my honor to recognize someone who represents the very best of Riker Hill Elementary School, Mrs. Holly Cummings, our Teacher of the Year. For the past 11 years, Holly has been a cornerstone of the Riker Hill Ramily. And if you ask anyone who has worked with her, many of them here tonight, whether it's students, parents, teachers, aides, or administrators, you will hear the same words again and again. Patient, dedicated, compassionate, hardworking, and endlessly supportive. Holly has this really incredible ability to see every child for who they are and meet every child exactly where they are. She differentiates instruction in her special education classroom seamlessly, modifies curriculum thoughtfully, and creates really engaging lessons that allow her students to feel successful. Whether she is co-teaching, supporting diverse learners, or helping students build confidence academically and emotionally, Holly ensures that every child feels seen, valued, and heard. But what makes Holly especially remarkable is that her impact extends far beyond her own classroom. Holly is the colleague that every teacher hopes to have on their team. She shares resources without hesitation, brainstorms solutions collaboratively, and somehow always seems to know exactly what someone needs even before they ask. New teachers have quickly discovered that Holly is not only knowledgeable, but also reassuring, encouraging, and generous with her time. She is the kind of educator who can help redesign a lesson, calm a nervous teammate, solve a scheduling problem, and locate missing copies, sometimes all within the same conversation. And in true co-teaching fashion, some colleagues have even said, I can start a sentence and Holly can finish it. After working together, many teachers would probably agree that that is absolutely true. Holly exemplifies what it means to be a committed to continuous growth. She actively participates in committees, supports our INRS process, collaborates with our specialists, and constantly seeks new strategies. In fact, there have been many times during my time at Riker Hill where I said, Holly, can you be on this committee too? And her answer was always absolutely yes. Can you cover me? And I said, I've got it. She is all in for our kids. Her professionalism and positivity shine through in every interaction. And most importantly, Holly leads with her heart. She celebrates small victories. She has built so many meaningful relationships with our families. And I've had many phone calls asking to please be in Mrs. Cummings' class. Can you please make sure I am with Mrs. Cummings? Her students know she believes in them and they trust her and they try difficult things, even when learning is really tough. And while tonight we celebrate Holly as an educator, we also recognize the incredible person she is outside of school. Holly is a devoted wife to Dan, who is here with us tonight, and an amazing mom to her 2-year-old son, Jace. We know how much she pours into supporting and celebrating her family every single day, which makes it even more special that tonight, Holly, and we talked about this, it is time to celebrate you. And sometimes as moms, we don't take enough time and teachers to do that, so tonight is really all about you. Holly, thank you for your unwavering commitment to your students, to our school community, to your colleagues. We are better, Holly, because of you. Please join me, everyone, in congratulating and celebrating Riker Hills Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Holly Cummings.
I'd like to invite Bronwyn O'Leary to talk about her Educator of the Year.
Congratulations to everyone being honored tonight. I mean, some amazing things have been said. It's almost like you want to rewrite your whole speech and just include everything, but you just can't. But good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our Teacher of the Year for Mount Pleasant Middle School, Mrs. Lisa Clemens. Mrs. Clemens is an exceptional educator whose vibrant humor and joyful spirit transforms sixth grade mathematics into an experience that is not only accessible, but genuinely fun. She is a master of blending rigorous instruction with laughter, creating a classroom where students feel safe to take risks, ask questions, and dive deeply into challenging concepts. Under her guidance, students not only grow as mathematicians, but also as confident and curious learners. Beyond her instructional excellence, Mrs. Clemens is a devoted advocate for the entire MPM community, consistently going above and beyond to support students, colleagues, and the school as a whole. Professionalism is at the core of her daily practice. She approaches every responsibility with integrity and reliability, contributing meaningfully to committees, district professional development initiatives, and her role as a team leader at MPM. Her insights are consistently valued and respected. Mrs. Clemens also demonstrates an ongoing commitment to her own professional growth. This year, she deepened her understanding of math and focus, pursued leadership pathways, completed coursework towards certification as a transition coordinator, and finished initial training for adaptive schools. The lessons from the training are evident every day in her classroom and team meetings. In addition to serving as a team leader, she is also the 6'8" Livingston Lens facilitator, helping promote our shared vision of instructional practice across the district. But perhaps her greatest impact is best described by her students themselves. Anushka P. shared that Mrs. Clemens knows how to make her lessons interesting and always incorporates her sense of humor into math problems that would otherwise be boring. She's always willing to help and is so kind. Sophia Z. said, Mrs. Clemens is always happy to help, even with a ridiculous question. She cares about others, and her jokes are always making us laugh, especially about the Ben Q board. Ben Q seems to need a full name reprimand once in a while to work sometimes. Sophia believes it is now Benjamin Q. III. In every facet of her work, Mrs. Clemens exemplifies what it means to be a dedicated, reflective, and student-centered educator. Her humor, leadership, and devotion to continuous improvement makes her a valuable member of the MPM community and a true asset to her students and her colleagues. We are thrilled to honor her outstanding contributions and celebrate the joy she brings to learning each and every day at MPM. Thank you. Oh, one more.
I'd like to invite Sean Kelly up to talk about his honoree.
Good evening, everyone, and first, congratulations to all of the award winners this evening. It's so wonderful to hear so many amazing stories about so many dedicated professionals that are fortunate enough and lucky enough for us to all be able to share with all of our students each and every day. It is my great pleasure this evening to present to you this year's Teacher of the Year winner for Heritage Middle School, Ms. Katie Reha. I could go a lot of different directions with what I could say about Katie, but honestly, I'll just keep it as professional as possible. Katie was recognized this year by her colleagues and also her students alike for her tireless work ethic and relentless pursuit to ensure that her lessons are meaningful, interactive, creative, and fun for all. She stands out to her students for how patient and kind and welcoming that she is, and how she always treats them with respect and fairness. Kitty also doesn't know the meaning of the word no, and a lot of times that could be a problem, but in this sense, she will go to no length to make sure that a kid who comes to her with any idea or anything that could be as crazy as possible about some kind of club that they want to run, that they feel supported, she gives up her time before school, during her lunch, after school, to make sure that these kids are sharing these passions with anybody, even if it's just a few kids, to make sure they feel valued and as a part of our school community. And she's just amazing with that. Over the years that I've known her, she's also come to me with some interesting ideas, probably the most recent with a friend of hers to start a talent show for our 7th grade students. Probably now I think we're going into about our 5th year. And Katie stays after school with her colleague, hosting auditions, hosting practices, time and time again to make sure that this event is something that the kids have an opportunity to share their passions with and their creativity with their peers. And last year I thought was probably one of the best ones we've had just yet, and we really look forward to this year as well. Whether it's through new teaching strategies, creative use of technology, or personalized support, Katie goes above and beyond to make sure every student has the opportunity to succeed. She's a great sounding board for her colleagues, where she serves as one of our 7th grade team leaders. A veteran teacher, Katie was not afraid to take on this year as an opportunity to try something new and continue her own personal growth by also going into and teaching a different grade level that she hasn't done in a very long time. A great teacher, leader, and human being. I'm so happy and proud that she's been recognized for this instrumental role as a member and leader of our school community. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
I'd like to invite Amro Muhammad up to talk about his Educator of the Year.
I was reminded by Mrs. Feely that this is not a roast, so I had to change scripts. So I had to trim this down a little bit because I know we don't want to be here till 11:30. So it's going to sound a little disjointed from here and there, but it's all with love and from the heart. And a lot of people put a lot of time in putting this in. So first, congratulations to all of our winners tonight. Well done. Melissa, thank you for coming out. I know you spend a lot of time with him, and this is your quiet time when he's here. But unfortunately, and fortunately, I guess you're both together in the same place. So he owes you.
Without the kids.
Even better. This counts as a date night. It's a privilege to introduce this year's Livingston High School Governor's Educator of the Year, Mr. Brian Carr. For the past 15 years, Mr. Carr has been a pillar of the Social Studies Department and a trusted member of our staff. He's taught every core course, and along with general and resource classes, with incredible skill, flexibility, demonstrating a high level of professional acumen. This year, he took one of the most demanding assignments in the department, a combined world history and US 1 general eds course, and it doesn't sound like that's a lot, but my understanding is that it's kind of a class that can frustrate even the most seasoned teacher. And how did he handle it? Like he does with everything else. Preparation, steady calm, and a positive attitude, putting his students instantly at ease, making things a little easier. And we all know that it's not what a teacher teaches that makes them great, it's how they do it. When you walk into his classroom, it's a place where students feel supported and respected, and you'd think that that should be understood, but you feel it when you walk in. He pushes them to explore, right? And grow in all the things we want our teachers to do for our kids. Doesn't worry about the grades, doesn't worry about what's tomorrow. Right now in the moment, enjoy what you're doing in front of you. Anybody who's ever walked into his class has been shocked by the sound of the boom as they welcome a visitor to the class. And every kid's there, they're smiling, they're looking at you, and they know that it's real. He's down there in the dirt with them, encouraging them, guiding them, helping them believe that they're capable more than whatever people put on them, and believing that they can be more than whatever they can imagine. What makes Brian great is also that he understands student growth isn't always measured by grades, and it can't happen without patience or consistency. And sometimes it takes reminding his students that they just not might be there yet, and that's okay. Never one to shy away from challenges. This year, Mr. Carr stepped into the new role as a special education co-teacher with the Growing Humanities program, supporting both social studies and English classes. He embraced the opportunity with humility and enthusiasm. He became a true partner to his colleagues and an advocate for students, showing every day what the meaningful collaboration looks like. Outside the classroom, Mr. Carr has dedicated years to our girls soccer program, serving as a freshman, JV, and varsity head coach. His impact on students goes far beyond the scoreboard. He builds confidence, fosters resilience, and raises his players' expectations of themselves through accountability, teaching his girls lessons that will stay with them forever. Mr. Carr leads with patience, kindness, and a quiet confidence, never looking for attention, never looking for credit. He brings out the best in his students, his athletes, and his colleagues alike. He reminds us that great educators don't just teach content, they shape culture, they build relationships, change lives in ways that go often unseen, nothing you can measure. Tonight, we're proud to recognize someone who represents the very best of Livingston High School. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Brian Carr, our governor's educator of the year.
Brian has a very effective PR team because I've seen pictures of him all over the school. I'd like to invite Maura Tuitt up to talk about her Educational Services Professional of the Year.
Erin. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit here because Erin is really the thread in education. She is, as it says, our Educational Services Professional of the Year. She is somebody who is absolutely extraordinary. You have the ability to change lives, as do all the educators here in the room, and I want to recognize her husband, who also is a fellow educator. It is remarkable what all of you do, and it's fantastic that you are being recognized. Erin, you are somebody who has made such an incredible impact on the school community. It's reflected in your leadership, your expertise, unwavering commitment to student well-being. You have played an instrumental role in advancing mental health awareness, substance abuse prevention, student advocacy throughout the entire district. In addition to your fantastic counseling skills, you also are a key contributor to both the district's mental health resource handbook and the high school's mental health curriculum. You have helped establish a comprehensive and meaningful framework of support for students, families, and staff alike. Erin's dedication and leadership is unwavering, as is her commitment to supporting others. And it's not just in the school environment. As we learned tonight, you also have a pseudo-detective job. She helps out in her community. She has shut down a ring of car thieves in her hometown. I'm not even going to go into what she did to the gentleman in the woods. That's rated differently. You are someone who is continuously the can-do person. There's no glory with her. She's not looking for any of that. It's about promoting and helping others. Your curiosity, your intellect, your compassion, and your intuition serves you well. Because what Erin's job is to deal with the whole student, academics to get them where they need to be, but also the other pieces of it, the human part. And she is just the most remarkable human, and her heart is bigger than you can imagine. And it is truly, truly a privilege for me to stand here with you and the work you do. And her idea of family is her family at home, but it's also the entire Livingston community. And that is demonstrated every single day. We are deeply grateful for all you do each and every day for our students, families, the community at large. Your compassion, expertise, and dedication are remarkable. And it is an honor to celebrate and recognize somebody like you.
I'd like to invite Carlos Gramada up to talk about his support personnel of the year.
Good evening again. It is my distinct honor to introduce another Hillside Husky, this time as the district's Education Support Professional of the Year, Mrs. Eleni Katalifos Sasson, an instructional aide who has served in the role at Hillside for the last 9 years. I also want to take a moment to welcome her husband, Joe, who's in the audience. Thank you, Joe, for sharing Eleni with us over the years. We are so grateful to have her. Mrs. Katalifos Sasson, I promise it's the last time I'll say that, or Mrs. K, as our students lovingly call her, is the kind of person every school hopes to have and few are lucky enough to find. She embodies positivity and truly elevates the school climate. One colleague wrote, "Her warmth, smile, and laugh brighten up the space around her, and the students are drawn to her." This is exactly who she is every single day. Eleni is a well-respected and extremely hardworking member of our school community. She constantly offers help to everyone that she comes in contact with and goes above and beyond in all that she does. She treats every student as her own and supports all teachers, not just those that she works with directly. When she enters the room, the atmosphere becomes calmer, happier, and more productive because she is there to listen, to encourage, and to jump in wherever she is needed. Her impact goes far beyond any single classroom. For example, Eleni has spearheaded staff involvement over the years in our annual multicultural night, which at Hillside is a really big deal. She helped create staff passports and even led the effort to create a school-wide cookbook so that staff could share their cultures with the school community. Thank you again for making sure that I had a recipe in that book. She actually picked it out for me. Thank you, Eleni. As one nominator said, she makes sure all families and stakeholders feel valued and celebrated with our diverse backgrounds. Eleni truly makes Hillside a happy place by being her best self and radiating her kindness to all. Perhaps the best way to sum up Eleni is through the words of her peers. She is the colleague everyone gravitates towards, the one who listens without judgment, who brings laughter into stressful moments, and who instinctively offers encouragement when it is most needed. For her compassion, her leadership, her tireless service to students and staff, and the joy she brings to Hillside School, It is my pleasure to recognize Mrs. Eleni Catalifo-Sasson as our District Education Support Professional of the Year. Congratulations, Eleni.
For time, congratulations to all the honorees. Well, this is the break in the action. The celebration part of our meeting is over. Don't feel like you're offending us if you want to go home, but you're more than willing to stay. We're going to get started soon, so if everyone who's leaving could make their way out the doors so we can get started, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Mark.
I like this. I got to do it like 3 times.
All right. Just a few more announcements before we address the next item on the agenda. We just were notified that our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders won their New Jersey Math League competition. That is just incredible. So both of those schools should be very proud, and as should their math teachers. So congratulations. Also, we're notified that Hal Markoff accepted the Council of Economic Educators Teacher Award of Excellence in Economics and Financial Education. He was one of 2 teachers nationwide to receive this recognition. Finally, just an update on the elementary principal search. For the community's benefit, I'd like to provide just an update on the principal searches at Riker Hill, Burnett Hill, and Hillside. As part of the process, last week, Mark and I met with the HSA presidents from all 3 schools. Mark and Sue spent some time in each building with staff to gather input on leadership priorities and the needs of each school community. The search process moved through several phases. We posted the openings on April 29th, paused applications on May 10th, During this time, we received 114 complete applications. Following a comprehensive review of all submissions, we selected 23 candidates to participate in the initial screening interviews. Those interviews were conducted by Mark, Sue, Danielle, Lorena, Angelina, and myself last week and earlier part of this week. This week, we also began conducting second-round formal interviews with candidates who advanced from the screening process. The interview team for this phase included the administrators already mentioned, plus the pre-K to 6 math supervisor and the director of secondary education, 3 teachers from schools not involved in the searches to provide a broader district perspective. Third round interviews will be school specific. These interview teams will include an elementary principal from another district school, additional elementary supervisors, teachers, specialists, and student services representatives from the school seeking the new principal, central office administrators, and a home and school representative. We'd like to identify 2 or 3 finalists to go to each school for specific school-specific interviews. Our goal is to recommend to the board approval in late May or early June. A letter outlining the information I shared tonight will go out to those communities shortly. The next thing, if Dan, you could put the slide up. As you know, this year for 26-27, we had a very challenging budget. We have a situation where our expenses outpace the revenues we can raise, which caused us to make some challenging decisions, including staff reduction, cuts in supplies, changes in program, as well as changing in our medical insurance carrier. There are some options moving forward, and they're presented on the slide behind me. And let me just go through them. We could maintain the status quo, which means that there is a 2% cap in a November election, but it also includes some spending growth limitation adjustments, which we were able to take this year, or else the cuts would have been much deeper than they were. Those involve enrollment and medical insurance. We were not eligible for enrollment increase. Standalone spending question. So we're allowed to ask the voters for additional spending on questions during the specific months up there on certain dates. This means they would vote on something that would be there to expand what we do, but not something that we would vote on, and that means that something required the students wouldn't have. So we could ask for staffing, which we could use for different changes in our program and reducing class size and things like that. But no, if it was voted down, they couldn't be part of the budget. Or the board could choose to move their election to April, which would include a vote on the budget if we went above the 2% and the spending growth limitation adjustment. Okay, so it would be anything above that would be there, and it would be a very specific question on the items that they want the public to vote on. So those are really the 3 options, and this is something, that I don't think we'll settle tonight, but a discussion we need to start.
I guess I'll go.
Yep.
So, less a question. I don't think the first one's an option. The status quo. We know that already. I think we have to make a choice. And the choice is between the second option and the third option of moving all of our elections and the budget question, or just doing a standalone budget question. Status quo is not a choice. We know that our costs will outpace the 2%. And if we are to do status quo, it will not be status quo. It is status quo by the process, but it will not be status quo for Livingston Public Schools. And we will also be denying the public the opportunity to publicly support our schools. And I think that would be a huge mistake on our part. I think there are pros and cons to a standalone question versus moving the entire election. And we can discuss those. But I cannot sit here and say we should stay in the process that we are and hold to a 2%. That would be to an enormous detriment to our program, to our staff, and obviously to our kids.
I would agree with you on that position about the November election, knowing what we know from the current budget process that we just went through. And my concern too would be about impacting the program. So what I was curious about with the second option of a spending question is, can you go into some more detail on what the approach to that would be versus, I understand the third option, but it seems as though it's less restrictive than the second option might be for us. So I'm wondering if you could explain option 2 a little bit more.
Well, I think if you look at the last part of the third option, asking the voters for additional spending, it is similar in somewhat to the second option. You would vote on either new positions or program, and you would vote on existing positions or program, knowing that if it failed, you wouldn't have those the next year, okay? And what voting on existing programs and personnel means that this year they're in the budget, okay? And that will grow the budget, okay? New positions do grow the budget, but the expenses in this year's budget, so it's expanding the budget, but not helping with, if we have another year of, this horrible insurance increase. So I think that's how you have to look at it.
One of the things that I was looking at, and I do have the data that I can share with you, so it could be included in board notes, but I was looking at the March and April, both elections, public questions, bond proposals in Essex and Union counties so far. And one thing that I see is that the level of engagement by communities tends to be somewhere between 3% and at the high end 31%, which was in Montclair. So I think that the idea of something I looked at too was, for example, a district over a period of 3 years that had moved their election and also had additional spending questions. And I think that we would have to really do a lot of educating of the community because our behavior has been changed in a particular way for really a full generation. And so I think if we did go with option 3, which seems like to me the most sensible option given our circumstances and our needs for going forward, that we would have to do a lot of work earlier rather than later to bring back some of the structure that we used to have when we did vote on the budget in this community. And so that would be a request that we start to do some research and put a structure in place so that we can build participation.
I know discussing this with the PT Council and explaining it, many parents in that group have come forward to say that they would be a part of it. So I think in this community, you would have, you know, a great group who would come forward, learn about it, and then be our, you know, our emissaries out into the community.
That's good to know. Thank you.
I just asked one, I'm sorry. Can you talk about the timing implications between March and April as far as it relates to the budgeting process?
They're pretty close to each other, I would say. You know, we really start the budget process in some form October of the current school year. And then our cost centers have their information to us in December. So putting the budget together, of course, would be a challenge because there are still some areas of the budget we just don't know, you know, and a good example is this year with medical insurance. You know, you don't know that until late, unless you had a great health history year and the insurance company is willing to provide the quote right away.
I think one of the considerations, right, an April vote doesn't mean an April completion. It means a completion well ahead of that, right? Right, and a March, right? So everything, you know, we could talk about the month the election or the vote takes place, but, you know, you'd have to finish a budget in February for an April, right? Because we've got to get the question written and educate the public on what they're choosing between. So I do think we need to think through the timing implications and also think through the timing implications of, you know, I know you just mentioned we start in October. That might not be early enough anymore, right? And right, we might need to start July 1st, right? And I know that seems really early, but I just think we need to think through all of the timing implications, regardless of the choice that the board decides to go with.
We would definitely need to have discussions about the budget earlier than we do. You know, once the cost centers come in, the real hard work falls on the business office, Jess and her department. So putting that together and making sure we set up the budget timeline in a way that we would meet those, you know, those goals is something that can be done.
So I would actually agree that probably option 1 is not an option that we can sustain any longer. I think we've seen the impact this year. So I'm in agreement with my board members, both colleagues. Could you talk to a little bit about what kind of items could be included in an extra spending question?
So let's say you wanted to reduce class size or you wanted to have more inclusion in the schools, you could add, you know, general ed teachers or special education teachers to the budget. As I said, expanding the budget, you might put current positions that are in there on the ballot for approval. You know, you want to be strategic on things that you feel the community will support so you can expand the budget that way.
And to the timing question, right? This year we're going a little bit later because we got those 2 extra weeks, but usually it's April end that we have to turn in our budget.
So just to answer your question, the 2 weeks played more into when our preliminary budget was due, which is in March. It didn't actually really affect when we had the public hearing. They didn't really push any of that back. But normally, yes, it is. It's 2 weeks prior to when we had to submit it this year that our preliminary budget is due in March.
So yeah,
I think the grace period a newly elected governor gets played into that, and next year it shouldn't.
so
For an extra spending question, just one additional part of that. You mentioned programs before. So that also could be a component part of an extra spending program, right?
Yes.
And
The question is very detailed. You know, it's not ambiguous in any way.
Also, when the 2% can't maintain certain things, that can then also be part of the second spending question.
Provided it's not T&E. Yep. Thorough and efficient. We can't say we're not going to teach math. Okay? We're going to teach math, Angelina.
So from that, knowing what the timeline is and knowing by when we have to actually submit the budget question, what has your sense been has been a better method forward, like April elections or really one of those extra spending questions?
I think this is fairly new. I would say there's I think more districts are going to move to this at a necessity, but Westfield is one who has moved their election, has been very successful, not only passing an extra spending, but their board election, they moved it to April, and passing what I would call a generational facility referendum.
So if we were to do an extra spending question, we could have a facility question in that as well?
Yes, as long as it has the dates that facility questions are permitted.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Just want to make a comment. Last week, I attended the NJSBA Spring Conference. There's a whole workshop talking about April election and budget cliffs. So it seems like we're not alone, and a lot of school districts are facing the same challenges. And the April election is definitely something on a lot of people's mind.
So I was just going to say, so for our next conversation on this, it would be really good to have, to Mrs. Churl's point, kind of what the education plan could look like for the community, as well as what the planning cycle calendars might look like under each of these options. I think, you know, this is a good high-level conversation, but I think we need to start to get into the weeds a little bit in order to, you know, to put a timing together for when we might actually make this decision.
Okay, that is part of the regulations that the state provides for elections, so we can get that to you.
Any more questions, comments?
Thank you.
Moving on, any board reports this evening? Well, I have two. I was at the Hillside Multicultural Night because I got invited by a special friend, apparently, who saw me at the Girl Scout event, and they really wanted me to come to their multicultural night and see them dance. So I made it. And it was fabulous. And then the other event was, I was also on the NJSBA conference. It was a spring conference. They actually cover a lot of the components from the workshop. So that was actually really nice to be in. The fiscal cliff is a constant discussion. Every school district is facing it. Every school district is planning for cuts, and every school district is planning for how are the other ways to make this happen. So there was that. All right, moving on to my favorite part, student reports.
Awesome. So just recently what's been going on at the high school is these past 2 weeks have been AP testing. And from my perspective and everyone I've talked to, AP testing has gone very well this year at the high school. Everything's been going smoothly. We're about to come to a close. I think Friday's the last day of testing, I believe. And everything's going great with that. On top of that, I'm a senior, and next Monday, the vast majority of the senior class, I think about over 450 of us are going on senior internship. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the senior internship program at Livingston High School, but it's taken off massively. Last year, I think enrollment increased massively. So all of us are going on to that. It's like a 1-month program, and we're doing 20 hours of internship every week for 4 weeks. So I'm very excited for that. I'm looking forward to that. And then in terms of Board of Ed related things, I've been spending the past 2-ish months trying to wrap up my experience at LHS and get my voice heard by as many people as possible. So about 2 weeks ago, I think I met with the supervisors at Livingston High School, and I spoke about my experience as a student and just areas that I think could be improved upon from a student's perspective. And they were very receptive and very nice. So I was very happy to do that. And I'm actually meeting with faculty tomorrow to do more on that. So I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move into our public comment section. The requirements of the public comment are on the agenda and should be on the podium as well.
You know the rules, right? Because they're not here. Sorry. Hello? Oh, wait. There we go. Good evening, Melissa DeAngelis, Livingston Education Association President, teacher, and resident. Good evening, Board of Education and administrators. To begin, I'd like to congratulate all of our Teachers of the Year. Such an exciting evening. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of many staff members who have expressed significant concern regarding the proposed change to our healthcare provider and the timeline surrounding this decision. First, I want to acknowledge that healthcare decisions are complex and important. We understand the financial considerations involved and appreciate the work that goes into evaluating a benefits plan. However, many employees feel they were not given adequate time to fully review and understand how these proposed changes may impact themselves and their families. The webinar that was provided to staff only recently took place on Monday afternoon, and many members are still in the process of researching the Aetna plans, checking whether their doctors and specialists are in network, and attempting to understand how their current care may be affected. These are deeply personal and important decisions that deserve thoughtful consideration and transparency. I respectfully requested additional time for staff to review the information provided in the recorded webinar, as well as with our IMAC brokers. Unfortunately, that time was not granted before this resolution was brought forward to you for a vote tonight. So tonight, I ask the board to recognize the anxiety and uncertainty that many employees are feeling. Staff members want to be informed partners in decisions that directly affect their health care and their family's well-being. They simply want the opportunity to fully understand the implications of these changes before a final decision is made. I know the district can impose the change in healthcare providers without input from the staff, but I do not believe that is the right thing to do. Our voices should be heard, and that requires time. It is important to show that you value the staff here in Livingston Public Schools. So I respectfully urge the board to consider delaying the vote to allow for a more thorough review process, additional opportunities for questions and answers, and to show our staff that they are valued. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Comments in the room? Yeah.
Good evening, Board of Education members. My name is Judith Froman. I have been a resident of Livingston for over 30 years, and I have worked for the Livingston Board of Education for over 25 years. Teaching for me is a passion. It's not a job. And over the last week or two, I have some serious concerns, as do many of my colleagues, about the proposed change in the healthcare, and I just felt that I wanted to make the board aware of it respectfully. Some of the things that many of my colleagues are worried about is many of the physicians that we have had for 10, 20 years, for some of us, do not participate in the new plan. Some of the potential problems with that is sometimes there is a delay to find a new physician. It could be 3 to 6 months. Sometimes there are physicians that when you finally get to, they do not know your medical history, so you don't have the continuity. Sometimes it could be a serious problem, and it will take quite a while for the new physician to review the records. Sometimes they want to change medication. There are times when if we want to use an old physician and it is out of network, it may be a financial disadvantage to us, because I know most plans will do 80% of what they considered allowable, which is usually much less. I also feel that this is a very, very important decision which affects myself and all of my colleagues. I have had Blue Cross Blue Shield for over 30 years. And I feel that having to switch, having to find other doctors that know my history, that have kept me going and kept me healthy, would be a big disadvantage to me. So what I am asking is that the Board of Education respectfully consider all the options, see if there are any other options, any other plans, any other Blue Cross Blue Shield plans where possibly we could keep some of our physicians, because we would hate to interrupt our medical relationships with these physicians, which would result in possibly increased emotional stress for us, potentially higher medical expenses, and our overall health. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to express my concerns. I appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Ellen Friedman. I teach at Heritage Middle School. I'm a resident of Clifton, New Jersey. I've been teaching here 23 years, 22, I don't know, we're the same year. We've been through this with changing from Blue Cross Blue Shield before, and at the 11th hour, we didn't change, and I was able to sleep. Education is my passion, as my colleague said, but I've been very distracted. Finding out about this days ago, instead of doing what I do best and working to create fun things for my students to do, I've been spending my prep time. I teach a 6th class, there is no prep time, on the phone with doctors trying to find out, will you take this plan? I have gotten horrible negative feedback about Aetna's plan. My husband's new cardiologist is out of network. He's about to have a procedure. Now I'm concerned about what I'm going to have to pay out of network. This is not right. We're all paying more. The whole way, the 29%, the 26%, The webinar was very misleading, saying we were going to save money. We're not all paying more. And let me tell you, whatever the 3% difference is, if I could keep what I have now and the respect that I feel from the people that I work for by giving me benefits that are good and take care of me and my family, then that is a good thing. To throw this at us, one doctor said absolutely not, they're horrible to deal with. I'm concerned with getting things that my doctor requests for me denied, the whole approval process. One of my doctors said that he's aware that Belleville School District just switched back to Blue Cross Blue Shield after 2 years of horror. And the town that I live in, Clifton, just switched to Aetna, and the entire community of teachers are miserable with the program. So I'm very distracted. I think you want me to be a teacher and have passion for my job. I am very distracted. And the fact that this has been a week, the timeline is really disrespectful. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pamela Lawley. This is my 15th year teaching here in Livingston. I want to thank everybody on the board for your time and for doing what you do for us. I also feel that we weren't given enough time. This was presented Monday. I attended the webinar on Monday evening, and here we are with the vote today. It's just not enough time. And a lot of people did not come tonight from our school and other schools because they feel that this decision has already been made and that our voice would not be heard. So I'm speaking and asking, please give us more time. And did you go to Blue Cross and Blue Shield and see if they would lower to the rate of Aetna? Was that done? Can anybody answer that?
We did.
Okay, thank you. So if you could give a little more time so people aren't feeling as stressed. To be presented something on Monday and a decision made today is just very short notice. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lauren Zarrow. I am a Nutley resident, but I have been a teacher here in Livingston for the past 19 years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I have always been proud to say that I work in such an excellent district. What makes this district so exceptional is our community, our students, their families, and our staff. I am here today asking you to listen to the exceptional staff that works tirelessly each and every day here in the Livingston community. I understand that we are facing a difficult time financially. The value of our staff, however, outweighs the value of the savings by switching networks and plans. While the comparison of plans seems to be equal on paper, this change will directly, negatively impact many staff members whose doctors and specialists are not in network. This change is monumental, and your decision here tonight matters. It matters to the teacher who has a primary care physician out of network. It matters to the teacher that has a therapist out of network. It matters to the teacher that has an OBGYN out of network. It matters to me, a teacher whose husband's electrophysiologist is out of network. It matters to us, and we hope that we matter to you and to this community. Thank you for your consideration.
Any more public comments in the room? Anything online?
Hello, Neil Shinsky, Township of Livingston. I do want to first take a moment here. Ms. Kempka, Ms. Charles, and Ms. Cohen. I was pretty adamant in January, February, and March about various different initiatives that were coming out of the board to try to isolate the fiscal cliff that the minor cliff that we were about to exhibit. And I appreciate you sharing publicly what your feelings were on option 2 and option 3 that were presented. The one thing I do want to call out is I'm very happy that you're proactively taking an approach here to think about how to reshape future budget situations going forward. As a tax-paying citizen, obviously looking at the various options as they were presented is considerably frustrating, knowing that I couldn't help you prevent any of the rifts that happened this year. Thinking about going forward, my one question on the HIF implementation is, given the cost reduction and again, looking at Plainfield Board of Ed, which is the only other Board of Ed currently in the HIF that had a year-over-year increase, recognizing they had a 16 or 17% year-over-year increase, I would assume we're seeing some sort of decrease from our over-the-cap number. Does the move into the HIF impact our budget in such a way that we get to bring back any of the teachers that were unfortunately riffed? I am deeply upset about how many teachers were riffed as part of this past budget cycle and would be interested to see what the numbers show and whether bringing in the HIF health insurance plan allows and affords for the district to bring back those teachers who were unfortunately let go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments online? No? All right. Seeing none, we are move to the next item on the agenda. Can I have a motion on 1.1, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
You all better work 20 hours. Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion on 2.1, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka? Can you vote on 2.1?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
I'm gonna make a motion to move 3.1. 3.2, sorry. Move it to next meeting.
Just to confirm, the motion is to table item
Table
3.2.
3.2, yes.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Charles?
Can I ask a question first? Okay. I wanted to know a little bit more about what the process would be if we move this to the next meeting in terms of the impact on any kind of change to insurance and the rollout of what you need to do before the end of the school year. I guess there are two questions. One, what would the process for communication be? And then what would the impact be on any timeline if the goal is to get any kind of transfer by the end of school?
So the rollout includes rolling everyone over into the new plan, but making sure people who need to make changes to their plan have time to do that. You know, anything from becoming husband, wife to family, things of that sort. And doing it later may mean that the employees will not get their insurance cards in time for the start of the new plan.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else? Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. And another question is, if there is a transfer, There are occasions where either we, maybe not we, the broker could help with the transition, especially in cases where doctors are not on the plan that we are going into. Is that something that our broker does or can do?
Yes, the broker did go over the other night on the webinar that there is a process if you have a doctor who isn't on the plan for, Aetna does like to recruit, obviously, new doctors. So there is a process for that, and our healthcare provider, our IMAC, who is our benefits consultant, is willing to help with that process.
So before the next meeting, is there a way to get information from any staff who may have questions or concerns about doctors and give that to the broker for follow-up before we meet and address this again?
I think there's two ways. One, they could go to the portal that was provided and to see if, their doctor is, on the plan. I did it this morning with Jess. It's fairly simple.
Yes.
If they do need help navigating that, they can reach out to the broker themselves. Some people have reached out to Jess directly, and she's been able to help them navigate and get the information.
So is it just the case of doing research, or is it also that next step where if the doctor isn't on the plan, that we take steps to remediate that?
Yeah, I'm not sure that can be done in 2 weeks. Right. But there is a process for that to start. It's my understanding that there's a 96% overlap from the doctors that our staff uses to what's in the Aetna plan.
Okay. I know that the search itself was easy because I also tried it. It's better on a computer than it is on a mobile device. But I'm more curious about what's beyond that 96%, and whether there's additional support that can be offered there. Because to me, this isn't a test about whether or not we care for our staff. We care for our staff. But I'm concerned about two things. I'm concerned about the delay in getting them what they need, but I'm also concerned about people who may not have or may have otherwise a bad experience.
They will have coverage. It may, in some cases, I'll be honest, that their physician may not be in the plan, but there is a process to appeal that. The gentleman asked about positions, through the savings we have from our broker negotiating whether it's prescription, dental, or medical. As I've said earlier, we're planning to bring back the kindergarten aides, social worker, and I neglected to mention the nurse position at MPM. So they'll have two for that one campus.
Right. So, I mean, there is clearly financial impact if we don't make a change. But can you just repeat, what the savings is and what we've been able to restore because
in the medical
of the
alone,
savings?
from what we got the first quotes, it's about $600,000.
Thank you.
And right now, that is approved in our budget already as bringing back kindergarten aides and as nurses.
And social worker.
And social worker.
Using savings.
So should we not go through with this, we cannot do all of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely not the social worker and the nurse.
Okay. Moving on.
I think we need to take a vote on 3.2.
Yeah, we're taking to table it, right? We did, so the motion went and you did second. Can we take a vote on tabling 3.2?
Mrs. Charles? Yes. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So can I have a motion from 3.1, 3.3, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Charles? Yes. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have a motion on 4.1 through 4.9, please?
So moved.
Second.
Can I have the roll call?
Mrs. Charles? Yes. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have a motion on 5.1, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Charles? Yes. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Any matters of old business? Any matters of new business? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.